let's welcome our first speaker for this morning.
And that will be Adeola Kingsley James, life giver and kingmaker, CEO, owning My Greatness Limited.
A round of applause for her as she comes forward. And please remember to write your questions down. We're going to open the lines. I work on TV, sorry. That's why when I talk about phone lines, it feels like I'm on TV.
So I'd asked that I come last.
Oh.
And I asked a couple of times, but it's okay.
We're so sorry about that.
Good morning, everyone.
You would always be the first and not the last.
Last in Jesus'
Amen.
name. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And it's so wonderful to be here today. You all look beautiful. And so I want you to give yourselves a round of applause. So I had planned a joke because I'd been put in between other doctors. So my first line was going to be, I'm not a doctor yet. However, I will soon be one. And I planned a joke around it, but it's okay. It's fine. Today we're going to be talking about your emotional health. And for me, I like to talk about my experiences because as a therapist and hypnotherapist, I've worked with quite a number of people who have said a couple of things around their emotional health. And I wanted to talk about it today because it also affected me as well. So I have 4 things I want to talk about. I haven't got that much time. I think I have about 7 or 8 minutes. So I'm going to almost run through it. But I'll share some of the things that affected me and my emotional health. And maybe you can find yourself in one of it. The first thing that affected me emotionally was comparing. I compared myself to everybody. I wasn't tall enough. I wasn't short enough. In my case, I married somebody who is a widow and had 2 children. And so I compared myself also to the dead wife, right? And it definitely, I wanted to be the perfect woman. And I don't know if there's anybody here who, I know of 3 sentences that I've heard the most. I'm not good enough. It's not available to me. And the last one is, I'm different. I cannot connect. And so a lot of people find themselves in this place where they're consistently comparing themselves to other people. I'm not tall enough. I'm not short enough. I'm not light enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. And I don't know if anybody has found themselves in that situation in a very long time. At work, maybe, it's not available to me. Rather than comparing, what I started to do was be grateful. So I had to be grateful for who I am, what I have, knowing that I am enough for a time like this. And that helped my emotional health and well-being, right? And so gratitude, I'm not even sure how I can express what gratitude is. But gratitude just tells you that right now, everything is okay. Maybe my height is just enough for what I need to do. Maybe my color, my skin color is exactly what I need for now. And so the second one was competition. Now, as a child, there are 4 roles children play. One of it is the brilliant child as a child. One of it is the carer. One of it is the rebellious child. And the last one is the sickly child. Now, as a child, you come back home with good grades. And your parents tell you how good you are with your grades, right? And immediately you start to feel that connection with your parents because now every time I come home with good grades, my parents respect me. And then one day, maybe rather than coming first, you come third. And your parents start to say to you, the people that had first, do they have 2 heads? Who was there? Yes, I can see a lot of my sisters here. Yes. So you then start to think that, no, I must be first, otherwise I'm a failure. Now my question, failing at something and being a failure, are they the same thing? Exactly. So we then want to be the first. And so we like those kind of titles, the first and the best. The first and the best. And so if we're not the first and the best, then what happens? You feel like a failure. Rather than competing, social media also is not helping. Social media now, we're on different people's streets, seeing all the clothes that people are wearing, seeing all the different things, their cars. And then you're saying to yourself, God, when will it be my turn? Who's there? Yes, sometimes we're looking at it and wondering when those kind of things will happen to us. And that's another thing that affected my emotional health, competition. So rather than competing, what do? You collaborate, you connect, you create community, right? And that's what we're doing here. This is a community of women, powerful women. Now, I must also say that I was a functioning traumatist, and that's a word that I created. A functioning traumatist for me, sorry. Okay, all right. A functioning traumatist for me is somebody who comes out looking really good and is very, very, people are even wishing they were like you, but deep down in your heart, you are lonely, you are alone, you are you don't feel appreciated. So that's the word, unappreciated and unseen. And so that's the space that I played in. Now, comparison and competition for me was one of the things that affected me daily. So rather than competing, what I decided to do was create community and hang out with people who were like-minded, find people who I could collaborate with, and find people who I can connect with. I was talking to Dr. Idebi earlier on, and he was talking about connecting. Connecting is one of the things that can take you from point 0 to point 10, because now you're hanging out with people who really can help you, not people who want to tear you down or break you down or any of those things. So your emotional well-being can be affected just by the people that you hang out with. So rather than competing, find good people who are ready to lift you up and not tear you down, and spend a lot of time with those people. Now, the third thing that also affected my well-being was complaining. I was a chief complainer. All you needed to say was, Adeola, how are you? I'll tell you how the world is crumbling. It's his fault. It's her fault. It's their fault. I never took responsibility for anything that I did or anything that happened, forgetting that I was creating my reality with complaining. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person, and I understand how important that your words are. Whether you like it or not, you're a creator. Whether you like it or not. My question is, what are you creating? So I spent time, and we're comparing Nigeria. Oh, Nigeria is not good enough, so people are Japanizing, as I call it. So a lot of people are constantly complaining. My boss doesn't like me. My children are terrible. My husband is this. My this is that. And I was a specialist in complaining, and so I was never happy. So rather than complaining, I realized that what I could do was create the kind of life that I wanted to live. I realized that I was an extra in my own movie, and I wanted to be the superstar in my own movie. So what did I need to do? I needed to change things around. And so I stopped complaining. Now that I know what I do not want, I now know what I want. And a lot of us are masters at knowing what we do not want. If I say to you now, what don't you want in a man? What do you want in a man? I don't want a man that cheats. That's the first thing people say. I didn't ask you what you didn't want. I said, what do you want? And then they're stuck. And a lot of times, we cannot get what we do not ask for. And so if you do not know what you want, it won't matter what you get. So I decided I wanted to be the lead star in my own movie, because I'm the writer, I'm the producer, I'm the director. I sit down to do the marketing. So why do I want to tiptoe through life to death, hoping I can make it to death peacefully when I can come out and shine? And that's what I decided to do, and that changed things around for me. And the last thing was that I had to silence the inner critic that I had in my head. That inner critic. You know, in the movies, you see a good angel and a bad angel. The bad one that keeps telling you, they told you you will never amount to anything. And in my case, as a child, I didn't feel loved as a child. I was a middle child. And so I wasn't the first, neither was I the last, neither was I the only boy. And so I struggled for attention, and so I became extremely rebellious. Extremely. And I would go to places and people will say to me, you will never be anything. You will never be anything. I'm wondering where they are right now, because look at me now. Thank you very much. And so rather than allowing that still small voice that is consistently nagging at you and telling you how terrible you are as a mother or wife, or maybe a month ago, my daughter said to me, Mommy, you're a bad mother. And I smiled. I said, thank you. And she looked at me and she said, Mommy, don't you want to be a good mother? I said, it depends on who is judging me. And then I said, okay, you know what, let's have this conversation. Why do you think I'm a bad mother? And she said, because you don't like to give your children things. I said, okay, is that really true? And then she says to me, she says, okay, you don't like to give sometimes you don't like to give your children things. I said, fantastic. So does that then mean that sometimes I'm a good mother? She said, yes. I said, that's good enough for me. Because my essence is not tied to what she feels. Right? And so one of the things that helped me as to silence that inner critic was increasing the inner cheerleader. The part of me that praises me. And so we're going to do a quick exercise today before I round up. And one of the things that, I would have done so many things, but I haven't got any time. But one thing that really helped me was the mirror work. How many people here have heard of the mirror work? Yes. Please raise up your hand. Who has heard of the mirror work? Very good. How many people have practiced it before? Very good. How many people have practiced it for 90 days? How many people practiced it today? Today, okay. So we're going to talk about it. And so please bring out your notebooks and your pens, and we're going to write 4 sentences. And we're going to practice it today before I go, and then I'll tell you how you can use it at home. So the first sentence you should write is, what I love about you is. And put your name in front of it, please. So Adeola, what I love about you is. Second sentence, what I'm proud of you for is. And so put your name in front of it once again. The second one is what I am proud of you for is. The first one is what I love about you is. The second one is what I'm proud of you for is. The third one is what I forgive you for is. Sorry. It's time. I'm working with time here. So what I love about you is. What I'm proud of you for is, what I forgive you for is, and what I commit to you to do is. Are we good? Love, proud, what I forgive you for is, and what I commit to you to do is. Are we good? So let me give you my example. Adeola, what I love about you is your beautiful smile and the fact that you show up every day powerfully regardless of what is happening around you. Adeola, what I'm proud of you for is that you are an obedient child. And you're not just obedient to God, but you're obedient to yourself and the things around you. Adeola, what I forgive you for is dimming your light, hoping that other people would feel comfortable around the darkness that you brought. And Adeola, what I commit to you to do is, whether people like it or not, I'll shine bright. And if they have issues, they should wear sunglasses. Yeah. So we're going to do it now. How many people have got a mirror here? Bring out your mirrors, please. If you have got a small mirror, bring it out. If you've got a phone, use your phone, please. But put it on selfie mode, because you're going to do 2 things you love about yourself today. And the bold ones, shout it out. If you're not as bold, it's okay. Just whisper it to yourself or mutter it to yourself. What I love about you, you're going to say 2 things that you love about yourself, 2 things you're proud of yourself for, 2 things you commit to yourself to do, 2 things you forgive yourself for. We're going to start it now. Are we ready? Yes. Ready, set, go. First one. What I love about you is? Fantastic. What I'm proud of you for is? Yes. What I forgive you for is? I'm hearing somebody say, I forgive you for not loving yourself. Yes, love it. And what I commit to you to do is. Yes. Now we're going to do a second one, and this is the last one. So what I love about you is, again, one more. Yes, my skin, love it. My beautiful smile, yes. What I'm proud of you for is being a good mother, love it. Love it, love it. Now, what I forgive you for is one last one. Yes, and the last one is what I commit to you to do is. And I promise you, if you're able to do this, if you really want to do this exercise, I want you to do it every night. Find 7 things, 7 things you love about yourself. You'll find it. If you can find 1, you can find 2. If you can find 2, you can find 7. The second thing is 7 things you forgive about yourself, and make it so personal. Sometimes you might even break down and cry. Stand in front of your mirror at night before you go to bed and say this to yourself. And when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is high five yourself in the mirror and speak to yourself. And that cheerleader that you have in you that says you've got this will rise up, and you won't need it from anybody else. Because the more you give people your joy, the more you give them the polar opposite, your sadness. So one day I was making up and I was standing in front of the mirror. My husband was standing in the bathroom with me, and I was done making up and I started to hail myself. And he looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm hailing myself. I'm too fine. I'm too fine." That's like God did an extra day on me today. Like, I'm too hot. So I took that pressure off anybody. Nobody can praise me the way I praise myself. I don't think they have given birth to that person. And I also know that they have taught us that if you praise yourself, you are proud. It's a big lie. The praise you can give to yourself is the purest praise. If your children tell you you're a good mother, it's because you just gave them biscuits. So there's an agenda. It might not be a bad agenda. If they tell you you're a strong woman, and there's no medal for strong woman, but some people like the sound of being a strong woman. It's because you have just done something. But the praise that comes from you to you is the purest. And there's no agenda underneath it. So get big on praising yourself. Every other thing, choosing yourself, self-love, self-care, all those other things will show up. But love yourself first. Don't give it to anybody else to do for you. Because you will grow blue hair. And the truth is, nobody's responsible for your happiness. You are. So that's all I'm going to say today. My time is up. I hope you've had a wonderful time. Have a wonderful day, everybody.